guys are up for it. Hello from Tennessee, welcome in. So, my band Nungara, we released a music video for one of our songs a few weeks ago. And over the weekend, I discovered this amazing review of our music and music video, mostly music, because this guy, I think, is a producer or composer. He says such nice things. I was so thrilled and so humbled by that. And I wanted to share a little bit with you, but just a tiny bit because it's a very long video. I don't want to bore you to death because the guy's super nerd, super like musical nerd. So he went very deep, but it was so flattering. Thank you for all the follows, guys. So the task for today is to change strings on this guitar that I'm going to be bringing in the tour that I'm having in May with my band. And yeah, playing my own set. I hope you guys enjoy. I'll pull back the video here, maybe from the beginning of the song, so you guys can have a feeling of how this goes. So apparently somebody dropped in his Discord channel my song, and he went on and made this whole review about it. He gets very excited about the song, and I felt so it was very interesting to see what in the song really sparked people's attention and made people really enjoy it. So yeah, let me change here and you will check for yourselves. There you go. So cool. This is a music video, by the way.
Right off the bat, this is heavy. We have a massive bass tone here.
Yeah. Thank you, Under Neox. Time to food change. Hello, Mego.
Nice metric mod on the bass kick. Okay.
Thank you so much for the gifted song.
A little bit of reverb on there, but thinner vocals on top of the big music is nice contrast.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Sketchy. Hello.
Half step runs, okay.
Hello, Turbo. Hello, Lolliads. This is an amazing review.
Yeah, the 2 and 4 on the bell of the ride, I dig that. Creating a lot of space in that section. The jumping back and forth between the cleans and harshes.
This was gonna wake you up, Speed.
There's that triplet mod on the bass kick again. It's interesting, I'm having a tough time following the structure of this. Ooh. Oh. Yeah, I like that chord progression. Lots of tension in the middle. We kick into that spicy second chord that takes us into a very tense third. Usually you find the rising tension on third and fourth.
Okay. So good. More things on the beach? Yeah.
There's that. You can hear the bass clearly here.
Yeah, that's the idea.
the drums are on 1 and 3, accenting on the snare, but the rest of the band feels more laid back.
He got it.
Yeah, there's a very interesting push and pull rhythmically between the drums and the guitars.
That's my favorite
It
part.
gives the song like a divided section, like it's being ripped apart. And see, now we're all unified on their accent points. Nice use of space too.
Yeah, we let things breathe a little.
Embellishing on space here. But see, this is what I'm talking about. That drum pattern is from earlier in the track, but the riff was new. I don't. The structure is difficult to follow because it feels like everybody's kind of doing their own thing.
It was a variation.
A cohesive whole. Yeah. Those gallops.
Guys, I flipped when I watched this. So fucking cool. So fucking cool, man.
It's been 5 minutes already?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Holy cow.
He goes super technical speed. It's amazing. It's amazing. He's a composer, producer, I guess. So it was really nice seeing his thoughts.
Yeah, dude, that...
I think he's live actually on this reaction. I don't know.
That's wild.
Maybe he's reading a chat. I don't know. Time to process.
All right. I want to talk about the structure thing because there's a lot of cool other things. I pointed them out. I feel like I'm just going to be repeating myself on a lot of that, but I really want to dive into what makes the structure on this interesting to me. So if I listen to the vocals, the beginning of the song, I thought I had an understanding of this. When we had the clean vocals, that was our verse. And when we had the harshes, that was our chorus. At least that's what it seemed like to start with. And the guitars kind of lined up with this. In fact, when we got done with the harshes, the first time, like the first group of harshes were done, we went back to the guitar riff that kicked the song off. I was like, okay, I have a strong grasp on how we're going to be building up different ideas here. And kind of getting in a roadmap of what the song is. Around this part, though, is where the vocals started to go back and forth. And I thought that was pretty cool contrast. Oh, we're introducing some harshes into the verse. Awesome. But that's when I noticed that the guitar riff was slightly different. The drums were not playing exactly what they were on the last verse either. And when I thought we were supposed to go into a chorus, we kind of didn't. There was a new drum pattern. Well, it wasn't a new one. It was the one where we had the ride bell, the bell of the ride symbol on 1 and 3, I think it was. That very spacious feel. Last time we used that as a full section. This time we used it as a single loop transition, a one bar idea to help push into a new riff and a new drum pattern. So that's where I began to get a little confused. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's been repurposed into something else. So then I start listening to the guitars. I'm like, okay, it feels like we're going back towards a verse. But then we don't. We have this extended bridge section where we have a series of, we have a couple of guitar melodies in here. We have a lot of riffs, atmospheric ideas, just really going for emotion and chord progression and trying to evoke a lot of this weight in the song. But all of this, the guitars seem to be moving in a linear fashion, setting up, a 4-bar idea of this riff, and then a 2-bar idea of that riff, and then a 6-bar idea of that riff. It was really difficult for me to figure out the pattern of when we were going to change. It also seemed that the bass was not changing at the same time as the guitar, and while the guitar was focused on this slow progression of this is what I was doing. I'm going to modify this one piece of it and do that. I'm going to bring this idea in from earlier, from like the verse. We're going to inject that in here. That's going to be this next section, and like slowly evolving this idea over time. But the bass was just returning back to some older riffs that we had. The drums were doing the same thing, but not picking the same pairing. If the bass was playing what I thought was originally the chorus bass lick, the drums were not doing what they were doing at the chorus. And so it feels exceptionally amorphous in a lot of ways. Usually bands are locked in. They make their verse. This is what the drum plays at the verse, and the bass plays, and the guitar plays. That's the verse idea. Then we have the chorus idea, right? And they're locked in together, but it doesn't feel that way here. They do all tend to move generally at the same time, but where they move to is very different. And so if I were to map this out and create a
This is
structure
so cool, isn't
to sort
it?
of understand the song, it would probably benefit me.
Yeah, right. I don't know if he did. Okay, so me and Murilo would try to do a lot when we write songs is that whenever we are bringing things new, we also try to revisit things we have already done because we want the listener, even if we're not like focusing on chorus verse and like classical structures, we are always thinking, oh, but maybe it's time to bring something that the listener already listened, like heard in the beginning of the song or somewhere in the song, to create the sense of familiarity, and guide the listener through the song, and not only saying like we don't want to sound like just like this patchwork of riffs, like I see lots of bands that just like have one idea after the other and then it's just a salad of riffs. So I thought it was really nice that he noticed that we try to make things in a way that would lead the listener gently across into new parts and not only like having everything different all the time. Bye, Allah. It was nice having you for this little bit. Have a good one. Thank you. But yeah, right. This was insane how much he actually understood from listening to it once. I was like, yo, a roof salad. Yeah, because I think this was something that I used to do a lot. And now I'm finally learning how to go smoother about it, I guess.
To create
I
a
wish I was this
roadmap of every
analytical. It's
single
amazing.
instrument to see how they
Okay, this
evolve.
part here,
This pushing and pulling
This was really
idea.
interesting too.
I mentioned that the snare was accenting beats 1 and 3, really driving forward on this, trying to present this forward energy as soon as
I think this is a bit too technical, guys. But he talks about like the bridge part with which is my favorite part in the song. So in case you want to check it out, the link is over there fixed. I will put like, let me see. There's a part. Not sure if this is the part where he throws a lot of different genres to us, which was interesting to hear.
metal. Usually, the first thing that pops in my head is joy about this is so much food for thought here. There's so much I can continue to find and listen for on subsequent listens, and I'm a huge fan of that. The other thing that I really enjoy about this is that it is progressive metal, but it's not what I think of when I think of progressive metal. Usually, the first thing that pops in my head is, Dream Theater. It's a lot of weird time signatures and wild phrasings and phrase extensions and doing 7-bar phrases because why not? And lots of shred and showing off and showmanship and typical guitar wankery going on.
This is not us.
But this walks a different path of progressive writing. There's still a lot of skill on display. I like the bass licks, the drum work is interesting and constantly evolving itself. The guitar has a couple of riffs in there that I think are pretty strong, but for the most part, it's focused on progressive atmosphere writing. It's focused more on emotion and chord progression than riffs and licks and shredding and all that kind of stuff. And it feels easier to groove to, easier to get into than your Dream Theater style of prog metal.
Well, maybe.
And I really dig that. I like more like super complex technical playing, just pure spectacle, jaw on the floor, because you can't believe you just saw the dude play that.
Yeah, me
But then you
too.
get something like
But
this
it's
that
not
I
us.
think it's
Yeah.
deceptively easy, where it sounds like it's a simple song, but the more that I listened to it, the more I realized where all the complexities lie. But it's all under the surface. It's not up front. It's not spectacle. You know, this is stuff that I think builds a
Like,
complex song by using a lot of different building blocks and
isn't it
allows the
so
song
cool?
to be the culmination of it all. You can just look at this building, right?
Guys,
Going with the idea of building blocks, right? And we build a wall, and you're like, yeah, that's a dang good wall, right? And you just enjoy the wall for what it is. But when you start looking at
thank you for
the
enjoying my
construction of the
wall.
blocks themselves, when you see some of the nuance and the technique that went into the building of this
Oh
wall,
my
if you
god.
understand how the wall is built, you can really get a lot of insight into what's going on. I feel like I've really stretched this metaphor. It's it's getting a bit weak here, but if you start to look under the surface,
Guys, this made my
you'll find
day.
a lot of nuance. And like I mentioned, just structurally, there's so much I can talk about here, and that's only what I picked up on a first time listen. I
First
have
time
no idea how
listen.
the structure actually works on this. It's
Yes,
something
it's
I
a
would
bit
love to dig
different.
into in the future. Um, But even when we look at chord progression, we look at atmosphere building, this is kind of nuanced. I like the amount of movement that we have in it. I like the highs and the lows. It is generally an aggressive song, I'd say, as far as like
Yeah, I mean,
tension, volume, that kind of energy. It's pretty peak most of the time. But when you listen to the emotional side of it, there are heavier, weightier sections. There are tenser sections. I'd even say that there's a little bit of like a moody melancholy in a few places. And particularly when the vocals come in, it introduces a different vibe altogether. The harsh vocals, of course, lean into that angst, that aggression, that weight, that metal heaviness. But the clean vocals are a different beast altogether. And I pointed it out during the reaction too, is that this song is really heavy. The bass tone is humongous. The guitar is large and meaty and fuzzy. The drums are massive. The dude's just beating the crap out of them. And there's so much big production on it. It is a
wanted to
big
laugh so
sound for
much
just
about it.
three instruments.
Yes.
How do you separate the vocals in that? Well, you make them ethereal almost. There is something very like angelic in the reverb, but also something thin and ephemeral about the timbre of the vocals themselves.
But guys, this is also something that we struggled a lot. I struggled a lot making this EP because I've never been like a vocalist before. Like I was always just playing guitar, and then I was like, how am I going to use my clean vocals on metal and not make it sound super lame? And my vocals is way more poppier than what you used to have, for example, in metal or rock. Usually what you have in metal or rock is either the very classical symphonic metal type of vocalist like Tarja Turunen, and like the Epica singer and Within Temptation singer, and these types of more like classical lyrical types of vocals, you know, or something way more like rock and roll, I would say, like Lizzie Hale, like Christina Vega, but then my vocals are totally different than those two. They are way more suited for, I guess, popular music than to metal or rock, or at least it's not something you listen so often. So I took a long time trying to find my, you know, the way that I would sing and I would feel happy about. Parede Metallica, yes. Don't know, it really brings that wall energy. Yes, walls are heavy. But I love how he enjoyed the vocals. This is nice.
And so they do kind of compete on size through the use of the extra reverb, but when you look at just, I think, what's being produced by the vocalist, it's in stark contrast to everything else. There's a levity to this. that stands in stark opposition to the heavy-weighted gravity of the music. I really love that. That
Mm,
division there is
thank
phenomenal,
you.
and the production on this is fantastic too.
Thank you,
The
sir.
separation, I think, is massive. There is a gulf between the size and weight of the instruments
Literally
and
mixed
the weight
that.
of the
So
vocals.
kudos to him.
And it has them sort of hovering way above the rest of the music. And, being like an octave or two above the guitars are certainly going to help too. That sells the distance 100%. But what I find interesting
I
then
hope
is that
so.
if that's such a perfect combination to put with the vocals, why do the harshes work so well too? And honestly, I don't have all the answers. I
He's
don't
going
know.
so deep.
My guess is
I
that there's going
love
to be
it.
something about production that goes into that helps separate.
All right. I'm gonna skip to the lyrical analysis because that was really nice too. But in case you guys want to watch the whole thing, is linked in chat. And later on, I will record screen a little bit and I'll post it on Instagram too. Guys, this blew my mind. I was so thrilled when I watched this. I spent the whole day thinking about this guy. I was like, dude, what are you talking about?
The lyrics are interesting. The first stanza says, "Sailing through the night, hands on the wheel, cold breath of night keeps me awake." This idea of just chilling, windows down, arm out the window, moving with the wind, just driving down the highway. You're the only car on there, on the street, and you're just enjoying the ride. I like the idea of sailing through the night in a car. That's an interesting choice of words. But then it says, "Contrast drives me, suffocating and bringing to life the certain and the uncertain, navigating side by side." I like this. It talks about being on the edge, being on the cusp of something, confronting your fears, that exhilarated terror
Amazing.
of being up to the point of the known and peering into the unknown, the contrast of that. It's like being afraid of heights and inching closer to, I don't know, the edge of a top mountain or plateau. Maybe even there's a guard railing, something that ensures your safety, but your fear takes hold. But the joy of seeing the landscape, of being this high up, mixed with the terror of being this high up. That idea of feeling like you're suffocating but being brought to life, the contrast
Holy
there.
shit.
Sitting on the knife's edge, that's what drives the narrator forward.
I love
It
this.
says, "Forever chasing a receding horizon, North Star shining bright." Got goals ahead of you. Don't know what your life's going to bring. Don't know what chasing these goals are going to do. Maybe you'll achieve them, maybe you won't. That horizon does continue to get ever further, seemingly. But you have to take this chase. You have to take this drive. There's just nothing in the narrator that says I'm fine with sitting still. Gotta chase it down. It says, "Every mile ahead awaits me, unfolding potential before my eyes. As I travel through time, inner vision my true guide. I am aware now this endless journey is my final destination." I like that. Almost as if having a moment to peer into the mind's eye and hypothesize what the ending of this would be. What happens if I caught this horizon? What happens if I achieve my dream? And realizing that you never will, not because you won't be good enough to achieve your dream, but because your dream is about being better than you were yesterday. You're always going to have a bigger dream to chase. You might hit that next milestone, but that horizon will always be in front of you. Your dreams will always get bigger. You may get this one, but that's not a stopping point for you. The drive itself, both the figurative drive of being in this car on the highway, but also the drive inside, your need to improve, is endless. That striving for that next step of greatness is the destination. This is exactly where the narrator wants to be.
Oh,
This
I
push
love
and
it.
pull, what is the goal? What is the journey? What is the path? What
Holy
is the
shit,
destination? How they all
man.
intermingle and intertwine, how they're sort of one and the same. This idea of not knowing what's on the precipice, but wanting to get up there anyways.
Wow.
The fear, the
Holy cow.
accomplishment, the
Guys.
exhilaration, all molded into one. It's about being lost positively, not knowing what happens next and enjoying that uncertainty. I think the song does a great job of doing this too. I was lost in the song. The structure is sort of amorphous, doing whatever it wants, but still always working. I enjoyed every moment of the song, even if I didn't understand it. I'm not certain about what the song was doing at any given moment, but I was certain about what the song was doing on its overarching idea. I understood the goals, even if I didn't understand the current moment. That's exactly what the song is about, and using that to drive yourself, to give yourself that motivation to keep going, because
Dude.
that feeling of being at that moment right on the edge, that's what keeps the narrator pushing forward.
Holy shit, guys.
So it makes them feel alive. Yeah, dude, so good. So good.
Thank
The
you.
layers of the lyrics on top of the music, bringing all the thematic elements together. The journey of the music alone, I mean, I gushed about the sheer structural elements of it for like 7 minutes. So, yeah, I'm on board with this. Golly, this is right up my alley.
I was so happy when I saw this,
But
guys. Holy
is it up
shit.
your alley?
It was really
These are
nice.
my thoughts on Ngata's North Star.
Thank you. No, he's not gonna sell
What
anything.
did you think about it, though? Did you
Just
enjoy it?
make sure
Was
to
there
leave him
anything
a
that stood out to you? Was
message.
there anything?
Guys, I would love to see your comments too. Make sure to leave a message on the video. It's fixed right on top. There is one moment I think I skipped. I think was this. Was this that I skipped, or was this? Or maybe he's gonna say now, like, what is the genre that he thinks we are in?
Anything that you agreed with me about it, or even disagreed? Let me know. Put any of that, as well as any opinions or interpretations that you might have about the
I
song. Put all
love
that in the
his
comment
reaction
section.
so much.
Above that, in the description box, you'll find a link to Linktree. It takes you here. You can find links to my music,
No,
ways to support
so
the
it was
channel, a
probably
link to the
before.
Discord server, and
I think maybe it was in this part where I skipped. He said a few things about our style. He mentioned sludge. He mentioned atmospheric, progressive metal.
this pushing and pulling idea. I mentioned that the snare was accenting beats 1 and 3. It feels like it's getting torn apart. It really brings this idea of separate paths
Hi, Shy
at
Chica,
like
¿cómo estás?
the head of what that concept would be. Rather than walking separate paths in parallel, we're now walking.
Yeah, it's gonna be hard to find.
Me, and this
He's
is
talked
definitely
so
going to be
much.
something that's going to take me a few times to understand, to get the gist of on that structural level.
Maybe it was here.
So much big principles. Why do the harshes work that out? But it also stands as like a middle point, I feel, against the instrumentation.
That's my thing. Like, how he has so much to talk about of one song. Like, he spent. It's because I am on top of it, but he spent almost 29 minutes.
And the higher pitched vocals explain that a little bit. But I think wrapping this up right here, I do see a lot of interesting patterns in here, and I'm curious what I mean. Even just
he's amazing.
the parallel lines,
he really knows
to
what he's
opposing
talking about.
lines, to locked in together that happens in the bridge, that little narrative pocket there. What does that mean? I want to know. I mean, it could just be, hey, we wrote some cool riffs and it just sounds great together, and that's how we made it. But you know, this idea of the North Star, the visuals during that section of a black hole.
Yeah, I mean, everything.
Faith in me.
Immense
Chat.
gravity that happens.
Faith.
Welcome in. Hi.
Melee Chaos.
Hi, Amy. How are you? Okay, guys. Let me let me do this. In case you guys want to watch more, the reaction is pinned right on top of chat. I cannot find it anymore, but he talked a little bit about like what our style would be like. He said something like sludge, post metal, progressive atmospheric metal, something like that. So it's really hard to put us in a box, I guess, and I understand why, but it was really nice watching this. Hey Emmy, how are you? Welcome in. We just watched an incredible review on North Star. I'm gonna clip a few things later and putting on my social media because I was speechless when I saw this. Completely speechless. I wish I could find this specific part though, but it will be very hard. I found it on like totally by accident. I can show you a tiny bit. In case you were curious, the guy has many big words to say about us.
Happens right before
Yeah, make
during the
sure to
idea of
give
like
some
being ripped
likes,
apart and
guys.
then snapping together and locking in place. I
And
don't
leave a
know, man. It
comment.
feels like there's purpose to it.
He has a small community of people who are
So with all of that
super
said,
nerdy about music. It's so
this is
nice.
definitely a strong contender for some excellent atmospheric heavy metal. I don't even know what genre this is. Sludge metal, I think, would probably be where I put it, like progressive sludge. Post metal, post metal is
Sludge?
probably a good umbrella for it. I'm not usually a big
Post
fan of
metal?
post metal, but this is clicking with me. So I'm kind of hoping if I dive into the rest of their music, I'll enjoy that too. With all that said, let's hit some.
What? Sludge progressive metal? Right? He said sludge. It's the thing. Like sludge and stoner are kind of siblings, I would say. They both have doom qualities to them, but at the same time, they are different in the feeling. I feel like stoner is more American, I don't know, bluesy in a way, you know? And sludge is also a bit American, but in a hardcore way. If you guys are, or punk rock way, if you guys know what I mean, you know. So it feels like they are siblings and like similar, but totally different still. I thought it was very interesting to see. He mentioned atmospheric sludge. Never heard of sludge metal, really. Progressive sludge, wall metal. Wall metal. I can show you a bit some examples of what sludge is, and that's the thing. It's not a style I listen to, but maybe it came from my influences, like from I don't know, bands like Black Sabbath or stoner, because I like stoner too. He said post metal because he wanted to avoid saying too. But post metal is different. Post metal, I don't think it's post metal either. I think post metal is way more atmospheric than Nungara. But maybe if we dive more into the atmospherical elements, maybe we can be called as post metal instead of doom metal. Maybe Murilo will feel happier about that.